Whoops. Sorry, guys. I didn't realize my mic was down, but welcome back. It's Mariano back with another stream. And let's see who we got up in here. Feels like it's been forever since we've gone live last, even though it's only been a couple days because I didn't stream on Friday. But it was really just a slow day, so I figured it was probably a good idea to let the stream and everybody breathe a little bit. We've been live pretty consistently here, even when there's not much going on. So really just let some stuff build up and come back with some good stuff to talk about. So hopefully you've got some good questions for me too, and we can have a good interactive stream today. That being said, today's stream won't be too long. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't realize my mic was like at negative volume. Skydive, what's going on? Welcome with the first as well. Nice, glad to see it. Artful says half sleep, but it's worth it. Thank you, man. Hope you're doing well. Shuba, what's going on? Daniel Blaine, what's up? Of course, load up the questions. You already know how it goes. Why is Tesla flying today? That's a great question. I haven't heard anything about Tesla. Any news on XRP ruling? Which day is it? Let's see. Shuba says looks like we're breaking out now. And thanks, guys. Thanks, James and Shuba, for the warning there. Looks like we're breaking out now. House of Representatives working on an infrastructure bill at 6:30 tonight. Big bill on Thursday for the 3.5 trillion. All good questions, good stuff. James, right there. Let's start with James's question because that's going to be the easiest one to answer. So James says, do I think that ACH under 6 cents is a good buy? Yes, absolutely I do. The reason I say that is you have to realize what ACH is, right? So Alchemy Pay, or ACH as we abbreviate it because that's like the ticker symbol, is a method to accept cryptocurrency payments in retail settings. And it makes it possible to use even coins that are not well suited for retail transactions that, take forever to get verification on the blockchain and all that stuff, that are really slow and clunky and expensive. It takes all of those factors out of the picture, and it just kind of makes every coin the same. Because the way it works, usually you load your coins onto the platform and then you make a payment from that platform. And then on top of that, also, there's the opportunity for retailers to actually implement those, to build a whole crypto acceptance system around it. So those could really be the future as far as, what options will people go to accept payment. With credit and debit cards, it's usually Visa, MasterCard. With kind of sending money to other people, you've got like your PayPal and you've got like your Cash App and whatever. And there's a couple really popular names, and I feel like AMP and ACH, or the Flexa network and ACH, are going to be like those big names for retail crypto acceptance. So that being said, when you take a look at ACH and look at where it's sitting compared to where it's been, if you understand that ACH probably has high value, especially because there's going to be an integration with Shopify, which is what most average people use to get their websites going for merch and everything, just like my merch site. You realize how much value that could bring, right? But now it has competition with Coinbase Commerce, but that's besides the point. But as you can see, right where we're sitting now is pretty much the lowest point that we've been after this initial run up, right? Because when we first came up from 2 cents, we had to move all the way up to like 20 or beyond, and then the pull back down to 6, and then we had bounces after that, and then we just came back down to 6. So this is a really good opportunity. That's not to say it won't go a little lower, especially if Bitcoin crashes here, but ACH 6 or under is absolutely a great value. I would buy that. That's my opinion. I'd definitely buy. What's up, Doge Scotland? Santos Fernandez, a with the emotes there. Very nice. So why is Tesla flying today? Let's see if we could just do a quick Google search if we can come across any Tesla news. Let's see. I don't think there's been anything crazy in the news today. Yeah. Well, okay, Tesla Cyber Quad, maybe this is why it ran up. They just applied for a trademark on the Tesla Cyber Quad. It looks like they're going to be making an ATV. Now, we kind of saw this get demoed in their Cybertruck demonstration when they rode the ATV up the back ramp of the Cybertruck. It looks like this is actually going to be a thing that people can buy, and that's going to be pretty sick. So that could be why. Other than that, though, Tesla actually had a couple good pieces of info and then some bad. So, there was an accident that injured 5 police officers, and then there was also some positive news here as well. So, just a mixed bag, but I think that Cyber Quad is probably why we're seeing the run up. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, exactly, James. Exactly. AMP right around that 4 cent mark or under. Absolutely a steal. Exactly. You got it. Same concept. Any news on the XRP ruling and which day it's on? Actually, guys, like I said, XRP is not really one of my main investments, so I really have not kept track on the XRP news. But let's just see. I don't think there is a date. What I can see here just from a article is that it says Ripple CEO Brad says that he's open to settling the XRP case with the SEC, right? So he's open to settling it, which means there has to be some terms to come to. And then the first line right here says that Ripple would be willing to settle with the SEC if the regulator clearly defines the regulatory status of XRP. It says, to the extent that we find a constructive path forward with the SEC, we of course would want to find that if there is one we could find. There's no scenario, though, that we're going to settle unless there's absolute certainty about what XRP is on a go-forward basis, right? So he wants some clarity from the SEC, and then they'll be willing to settle. So it looks like he has some work to do as well in getting that settled. It's not just all up to the SEC. It's partially them wanting some things to happen before they proceed. So it looks like there's no date. Any news on Cardano? Yeah, guys, so one of the big things about Cardano, so just over this weekend, Cardano had its massive event, right? So it had the Cardano Summit, which took place on Saturday and Sunday, which was really, really big for Cardano. That just happened, and that's why we saw, even though Bitcoin and Doge and a lot of the other cryptocurrencies were kind of in the red, Cardano actually was in the green on those days, as it had a little bit of hype. What ended up happening, just to keep it short, was they did a big event, a 2-day, all-day long event where they pretty much talked about different partnerships that Cardano was going to have with different brands, different companies, and all of that. And it was, supposed to be a really big day for Cardano. Now, the thing about it, now they did announce some good partnerships, and off the top of my head, I'm starting to blank. I know there was one that I discussed. Oh yeah, so one of the partnerships is an esports partnership that they have, where it's going to tie in to like NFTs in the esports space. And I know we talked about it in here. Maybe I can find it really quickly. So let's go here. So the Cardano Summit. So it says they're partnering up with the esports giant called Rival. It says Cardano has partnered with leading esports giant. I'm just going to pause the music for a second. With leading esports and gaming platform Rival to develop agnostic NFT marketplaces, fan rewards, and more for Rival and their partners. The partnership will see Cardano facilitate the ability to create and distribute NFTs, the redemption of NFTs for physical goods, and marketplace-based royalties within the Rival platform, whose clients include the NFL's Seattle Seahawks, the NBA's Detroit Pistons, and Aston Villa and Watford of the English Premier League. So this looks like a really big integration to me. I know, me personally, when I hear about a cryptocurrency brand getting into the esports space, I start to feel kind of bullish because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's a lot of different esports teams and such, and just esports categories in general, where they are heavily promoting crypto. There's a lot of different brands and teams that are sponsored by FTX, and it's just really big in the esports space. So it's really good that that's one of the partnerships they're trying to get into right off the bat and get into esports. Also, a regulated institution, UBX. One thing to know is that Cardano is not like a non-profit type of coin. Like, it is very clearly for profit. Even though that's not the focus, it is it's a for-profit thing. And that was one of the main disputes between Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum and Charles Hoskinson of now Cardano, as Charles left the Ethereum project to branch out on his own here, was whether or not going into the DeFi space, it should be a non-profit or for-profit deal. Now, obviously, you hear non-profit and you're like, oh, their mind and their heart's probably in the right place. But when you hear about someone doing something for profit, in my opinion, people are going to work for their money, And if there's money to be made, I'm kind of expecting that project to really run full steam ahead at all times, because people are actually getting paid for it and there's money on the line. That's money drives results. That's just how it works. If someone's underperforming, usually if you can offer them a little money or a little more money, it might help their performance a little bit to get up to where they feel the value is. So anyway, that just kind of in itself makes me a little more bullish on Cardano, just knowing that they're going to want to figure out how to make this thing really profitable. It's going to benefit everybody, and that's going to push them to keep working on it and making it better. But anyway, They're getting institutions involved with their own regulated UBX. And there was a couple other things, and there's many other partnerships as well. So that's what the Cardano Summit was, just a discussion of all those things. And we saw a run up on it. But, anytime there is a reaction, or any reaction is an overreaction, as Zip Trader likes to say. And that's really always the way to look at it. So if you see, based off hype, something start to move up, that's an overreaction, and there's going to be a correction afterward once the hype wears off. And so then you need to expect a pullback. And if you go to ADA, that's exactly what we saw. It's exactly what I talked about in the Discord group. If you were in there, it's what I expected to happen. And so we were sitting about, here, once we hit 191 when Bitcoin was down towards 39,000. And then it started to recover. And then from here, this $2.05 range, this was about as we got, this is Friday, and this is as we got into Saturday. Nice big run up, crossed the 200 EMA, stalled out at about 250. And then ever since then, it's been a hype sell-off, and it's looking bearish again. So this was what we expected, and this was also what we expected. So not surprised. ADA definitely could have had an opportunity to hit 3 there if things were better in the market, but we're in a bad spot. Looking at Dogecoin really quick here, of course, because that's kind of where we all come from. Dogecoin's okay. I really don't like this setup right here, guys. I'm going to be completely honest. And there's a few reasons why. And oh my goodness, look at these lines. All right, this is a chart that's been used and abused. So let's delete some of these lines so I can actually see what's going on here. I wish you could delete all. All right, almost there. Okay. So as we take a look at this chart, there's a couple things that kind of immediately stand out, right? So even if we get rid of the EMAs here and just look at the price action alone, this is all that matters. So you can see this is 32 cents. This is kind of where we crashed from a couple weeks ago after Bitcoin made its nice run up to like 50,000s, 52, and then 50. And then Bitcoin pulled back to like 40. And this is where we dropped. So what you can see here is the nice rebound up. We started trying to consolidate. We kept doing these flags, breaking out the bottom, broke out the bottom, broke out the bottom, made a nice run back up, got heavily rejected, and then we broke out the bottom there and fell as we broke below support levels. And we crashed all the way down to 19 and tested that a lot. There's been a lot of tests of the 19, 20 cent range here. Now, you can look at this as a sign of strength, which is fair. What I don't like, though, is that despite all these reversal patterns, double bottom right here, nice move up, we kept coming down and we keep making lower lows. So if you're just noticing here, this was up at 23 cents. This was off the initial bounce, by the way. Double bottom here, 23 cents. That was the highest we could get. Then it was a little under towards 22 cents. Then it's down towards 22 cents. I mean, down under 21 cents. And now it's like right under 21 cents here. Our bounces keep getting weaker and weaker and weaker. So we're getting to a point here where, price action doesn't just trade sideways, by the way. It never just trades completely sideways. So if consolidation gets tighter and tighter, that usually means that there's going to be some kind of move coming next. So some sort of break out of this area here. Right? As you can see, there's going to be something here. It's not just going to do this. So it's either going to come above this line and people start feeling a little more bullish, just even if it's just a little bit, or it'll fall below support and then people feel bearish and it'll sell off a cent or two. That's what's probably going to happen here. Now, to figure out what's going to happen here, if we don't have any Dogecoin news, what we always have to look at is Bitcoin. So, and this is why I titled the stream what I did. Bitcoin just isn't doing so great. And as much as I'd love for it to be doing great, it's just not. Now, if we can get back above 44,000, maybe even towards 45,000, I'll change my perspective a little bit. But I'll say now that I am a little bit concerned about Bitcoin. Now, to touch on some of the comments that you guys made there, the infrastructure bill. I think, Shuba, you brought that up, right? Yeah. The infrastructure bill. So if you've been doing a little following on the project, you'll know that yesterday was actually the day that they were supposed to discuss the infrastructure bill. And so let me take a look at this article with you guys so you can see that I'm not just making this stuff up here. All right. So what the title is: Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, punts the infrastructure bill as progressives claim 60 votes against it. All right, so it's been delayed. So it says today's the day that the House Speaker, okay, so it was actually today, that House Speaker Nancy Pelosi vowed to bring the bipartisan infrastructure package to the floor to be discussed, voted on, etc. But the Speaker announced Sunday night that the actual vote on it would end up being delayed until Thursday. All right, so what we were supposed to have was a discussion on the bill today and then a vote on the bill very shortly thereafter. What we now have is going to be a discussion on the bill, but then the vote on the bill has been pushed to Thursday. Now, they did put a deadline on this of October 1st, and that's going to be Friday. So by pushing the vote to Thursday, they still stay within the promised time frame of by October 1st, but instead of having it done soon, now they're really pushing it to the last minute. The reason for this is because, as we already discussed before, there were a lot of members of, I don't know, do you call them like the chamber? I don't know. A lot of members of these groups that insisted on having this other bill also be ready to be discussed and passed by the time that the infrastructure bill was to be passed. And they said if that does not happen, they were not going to vote in favor of the infrastructure bill. And so now what's happening is that other bill apparently is not yet prepared and ready to go. And so they're already starting to retaliate and like kind of imply that they're ready to vote no and mess things up. So it looks like delaying that by that vote for a couple extra days is in hopes, Pelosi's hoping that maybe now that she sees that this is really what's going to happen and that they're not bluffing, that they can get this other bill together and have something to discuss or something like kind of in writing that, says we will discuss and have this bill ready by so-and-so time and then vote on it by a certain time. That will please them enough to vote in favor of this bill and get it moved. Either way, guys, that's not good news. And what this does, in my opinion, is it makes things even worse. The reason I'm saying that is because we know that part of the reason we're probably still sitting down here at low 40,000s is because everyone expects Bitcoin to be trading negatively this month and to close in the red because historically, as we've been saying the last couple streams, every September, Bitcoin has been a red month for Bitcoin. And so people are going into this one thinking it's going to be bearish as well, especially with, Evergrande, the crisis there, and the infrastructure bill, which we're talking about right now. So going into October, people are naturally, being that was a green month and in September, people are going to start feeling way more confident about buying just because that mental bearish month is now over. We're in a new month. We can start to think from scratch and think new. The problem now is by delaying this vote from today to Thursday, you're really dragging out the bearish sentiment in people's minds up until the very last moment, which could potentially mess up, in my opinion, the start to October, starting off strong in the green. Because now, up to the night before, when the vote's going to happen on Thursday, which is the 30th, right before the first on Friday, now people are going to be thinking about the negative infrastructure bill that's going to be potentially even getting passed. And then if it does get passed, then you have a bearish red day event right before October starts. And that negative sentiment, because it's so close to October, could carry into October and cause October to start off wrong. Especially if we get a big sell-off going from wherever we are, if whales start to dump, if that bill gets passed. If the vote is to pass the bill, we don't know if whales will dump or not. Don't forget, even though things look okay, all things considered, because as retail investors, we look at the chart and we say, all right, here's the situation that we're in, right? We're sitting here, we're looking at the chart, we see that all things considered, with the infrastructure bill, we know it's coming, with Evergrande, with all the negative things that we have going on here. What we can see is that we're sitting at a pretty decent and stable 43,000. And that's with them discussing the bill tonight and them doing the vote in a couple days. We're still sitting at 43,000. So we're probably just going to be fine because if things were going to be bad, we'd be selling off already, right? That would be kind of logical. But don't forget, the last time that the whales interacted with something with the infrastructure bill was right here. We had this bullish run up coming all the way up to the day where they were going to discuss the infrastructure bill, and we already knew that things didn't look good for what the discussion was going to bring. However, whales continued to bump the price up, manipulate the price up, and keep buying and buying and buying and buying until the very last moment when they discussed the bill. And as soon as that day came to discuss the infrastructure bill, that's when they all dumped, and we saw a sell off from 53,000 all the way down to 43. Massive, massive sell-off. Look at this daily candle right here, right? So just because things look good now does not mean that whales will not sell off at the last moment, because that's exactly what they did here. And leading up to this, I was just really confused. As you guys know, I was just like, well, I mean, I don't see a reason to be bullish. We know they're about to discuss really bearish news, so it's really odd that we're going to be moving up. Yet they bought it up, and they bought it up, and they bought it up, and they made people feel confident until the very last second, and they all dumped at the same time. So that could happen on Thursday as well. We're sitting here in a comfortable spot, and this is just me analyzing stuff, guys, by the way. Of course, there's no way to really know how they're going to play this and what's really going to happen, but everything is based off of trying to get the best guess that we can and play accordingly. So what could easily happen here is they do the same thing over again. They let the price hover in this area, maybe even starts running up towards 46, 46 and a half, still staying below 47 in my opinion, so that we close close red for October or September, or maybe even they bump the price up a little bit to get people really bullish. And so we end up looking like we're going to close green. We flip above 47. Who knows? Something like that could happen. And then on Thursday, when it's time for the vote, we could see a nasty sell-off, just right back down to these areas. Or, if it's bad enough, we could see them actually surprise dump even harder than we think, and us start making new lows then. So definitely play this week very, very carefully. If you're already in anywhere between, I'd say 39,000 and now, you're in a pretty safe spot because you're kind of in at the bottom. So you can kind of just watch and spectate. And if things start to look ugly, then you can cut your trade or reduce the size of your position or something in case things start to flip to the red side. So you have more money to average down and buy back in at the bottom. But if you're looking for an entry, I would be very, very, very careful and skeptical going over these next couple days. And I'd probably feel more confident from October 1st onward. So get out of the bearish month of September, number one, and then also get past the infrastructure bill. And then all you have to worry about really is the Evergrande crisis, which could cause a crash. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but that's two less things on your plate. Instead of three negative catalysts, you just have one, and things are going to be much more in your favor. That's the way I'd be looking at it. That being said, there's also some other things that I don't necessarily like about how the price action is trading right now. And that's going to kind of be the last thing I talk about here before I answer a couple more of your questions. So just from a technical analysis standpoint, we know the way that things typically go. The high time frame EMA lines especially are really, really weighty levels, and they can function as strong levels of support and resistance. So if you just throw your EMA indicators on your screen and you have nothing else, you haven't even looked at the price action, you don't know where support and resistance is based off of previous trading trends, you just look at the EMA lines, they're usually going to give you a good support and resistance line to go off of. And in this case, that's exactly what I'm going to be looking at here, because I know off the top of my head, 42.5, 46,000, 47,000, like I know some levels, but I'm not even going to look back and do TA based off previous trading history. What I'm going to do is just look at the 200 EMAs right here and look at what's happening and try and look at what this is potentially telling me. All right, so there's a couple things right here that I don't like. And there's a couple things that I do, but there's more that I don't. So we had the massive run up here, right? We had the massive run up all the way up to 43,000, massive sell off, and then we had a bounce, a pullback, and I shouldn't have done that many lines there. So we had a sell off, we had a bounce off the 100 EMA here, we had a pullback, basically a double bottom right here, and from that we were able to get a nice move up. But then after that nice move up, we started to sell off, we passed below support lines, and so we dumped all the way down from the 100 EMA to the 200 EMA. And then we got what looked like potentially a bit of a double bottom here. But when you look at what's really happening here, this is what has me concerned. So off the 200 EMA, we did a strong bounce up to the 50 EMA, right? All the way up to here. Then we had a pullback all the way down back to the 200 EMA. And then we had a bounce only up to the 100 EMA. So now a weaker bounce on round 2. And now we're starting to reject and sell back down towards the 200 EMA again. Now at this moment, you can see on this daily candle, we were down here a little earlier, around when I started the stream, and we've started to buy up just a little bit. Who knows how this candle will close? If it goes green, that could be really positive, okay? But if it does not and it stays red and it stays around this area, that could be bad, because if you're looking at this for what it is, this is basically what I'm talking about. You get a bounce here, a really high one. It comes all the way back down, and on the second bounce you have a lower bounce here. And then you come all the way back down to support, and maybe you have one like little mini bounce here as it completely runs out of steam, because obviously it's losing steam here. You've got this kind of like this downtrend here. So you've kind of got this downtrend right here. So maybe your next bounce just kind of comes up to like here, and then you end up falling below and dumping and selling off. So that's one thing I'm a little bit concerned of right here. There's a couple other ways to look at it as well, and so I think those should be entertained. But if news continues to be negative over these next couple days, I would expect the trajectory to kind of play out similar to this scenario here, if the news remains relatively negative. If news starts to flip to a little bit more of the positive side, then we could potentially look at this from a different perspective. And because what will probably happen is, instead of this candle closing towards the bottom side and continuing down back towards the 200 EMA again, it might hold here and start to move back up. And then maybe some people will be kind of looking at this like a bit of a double bottom scenario, to where we just kind of reloaded right here and then we took off. So this could go two different ways. I'm still, and like I said, I try not to be too bearish. I know I tend to be, but that's just because I look at the news and I hear about all the things that are going on, and I say, well, I'll be honest, this doesn't sound too great for the price action here. I'm skeptical. All right. Now, I am going to, of course, entertain the possibility that we could move up to 46 to 45 at, maybe max, but we could even break above that, go 46 and stay below 47. Could happen. But if I were to be just a guessing man right now, based off what we know, I would say things don't look super hot, and I'd be a little bit concerned. I would be a little concerned if you are going to buy in because you want to take a little bit of a chance, you have no position. That's perfectly fine, in my opinion, because even though things don't look that great, we are still relatively low on Bitcoin, which means if there's not going to be a market crash, guys, then these prices are not bad prices. So if we are not going to crash again, buying in and starting to scale in now is not so terrible, because we're still low. We're still cheap. And that's the thing. But as you can see here, we're in this triangle situation here. And we can break either to the top side of that triangle, or we can fake out right at that level I was just talking about and start to break out the bottom side of that triangle. Or we could even break out the top and fake out to the bottom, or vice versa. So I always say be very careful with triangles. They basically just indicate something is going to happen next. We don't know what that thing is that's going to happen next, so you can take your best guess by looking at news and analyzing it and trying to figure out what the sentiment is to figure out which direction it's leaning towards. Or you can just wait and see and then trade when it happens. But I would be careful. I do think there's opportunity here for another crash that nobody really is talking about too much, because everyone wants to be bullish and say Bitcoin 100,000 by the end of the year, so on and so forth. But at the same time, even though I want that to happen too for my investments, I prefer to be a little more open-minded, less biased, and just in general less bullish all the time. And just entertaining the scenario that we could easily dump here out the bottom, come to 40 or even down to 39 again, and sell off further. If the news this week is not taken well and the whales already plan to sell when that happens. So we'll see. That's just my thought. Be careful. A couple more of your comments here before we wrap up. Let's see. But yeah, that infrastructure bill, guys, it is going to be on Thursday. That's when the vote is. But if you want to watch the event, I'm pretty sure you can go just Google House of Representatives infrastructure bill and figure out where you can watch it online. Last time we live streamed it, so it should be pretty easy to find. Let's see. Oh, really? So Ada's linked up to Dish Network? That's pretty big. DirecTV should take Doge. That would be funny. Boost Mobile, really? Hey, yeah, they're doing a lot, and that's great. I think, like I said, I'm very bullish on ADA, even though we are selling off right now as we sell off some of the hype, and as Bitcoin looks still bearish. You know, we've had last couple of days have pretty much been red on Bitcoin. Don't forget that over the next couple months, ADA is probably going to be in a different territory. We'll be probably around $4 very, very soon, next couple months. So look at these $2, especially under $2 opportunities as really good dip buy opportunities. That 190 was the real spot to buy. But even now, anywhere between like 2 and 220, 225, I feel pretty good about it. Right. Exactly, Shuba. Another thing I read too, guys, about this situation is that the government could shut down. Where was that at? I thought that was pretty interesting. I didn't know anything about that. So let me find it. It was in this article. Okay. Said, but the speaker announced Sunday night the actual vote would slip until Thursday in a victory for muscle flexing progressives. In case you were counting all the stress-inducing deadlines in Washington, that's one day before the government will shut down if Congress doesn't pass a separate bill to fund it. Yeah. So Congress will be shutting down, or the government will be shutting down yet again if Congress doesn't pass a separate bill to fund it. Now, if that happens, something tells me the stock market's probably also going to crash. Yeah, and who knows what that'll do for crypto. A lot of times crypto reacts positively when the stock market reacts negatively, just depending on the news. You know, if it's about like inflation being really, really bad and stuff like that, that brings more value to being in the crypto space, those things will make crypto go up. But then other times, if the news is just bad news overall and makes it seem like, you know, financially for everyone, it's going to be kind of a doomsday situation, then the value, then people start to panic and sell their positions even there, thinking that markets will start to sell and crash. So we'll see what ends up happening here. We'll see, but there's potential for the government to shut down as well, and that's also bearish, you know. New budget needs to be approved by October 1st. Right. Yep. Hey, guess who's back? Preezy and Chaz Mandu. What's up, guys? Welcome back. And thank you, Scott Ev. Yes, smash that like button, guys. I do appreciate it. James says, how do I think Bitcoin's going to react to the final and complete infrastructure bill? I think it's going to react negatively. I don't think there's any other way that it should react. Now, even if you say, like I've been saying, even if you make the argument that, you know, what we know is that the government said the verbiage in it is not really up to date. It's not correct. It's just to indicate that we are taking it seriously, that we are going to start cracking down and regulating, and this is just the first step. But even though the verbiage demands something impossible, from people on the blockchain that validate and develop, we're not going to enforce that, because that really wasn't the purpose of us doing this. All right. So even though they say that, it's still bad news, because the thing is that they don't have to honor that statement. What's written down in writing is not that statement necessarily. What they wrote into law was the fact that you have to be doing something, and something else, or else you're breaking the law. So, that being considered, it's still bearish because talk is talk, but the law is also the law. So if they just decide randomly that, actually, psych, just kidding, never mind, then all the cryptocurrency is screwed yet again. So I take that with a grain of salt. And so I think that what will happen is that we'll see a sell-off, and then if things still look okay after that announcement happens, we will start to see a recovery with people still being a little skeptical but starting to buy it back up, and then maybe even a continuation. But people are always going to be looking for that amendment because it's just bad news to have that law looming over your head. To even, it's like the government said we're not going to enforce it, but I'm still breaking the law. It's just a little scary. Direct deposit payroll to crypto also announced. That's right. Yeah. So something else that you guys brought up in the Discord group here was some good news, guys. Now that we're done kind of with the bearish news, Coinbase is launching a get paid in crypto direct deposit option. It says Coinbase is working with major payroll and HR companies to let millions of workers get paid in crypto. This is really cool. It says get paid in crypto is tied to Coinbase's debit card. The feature will go live in the next few weeks. And the new feature offers a practical way to receive wages in crypto for millions of U.S. workers. Now, I think I got a Coinbase card myself, and I don't know what I did with it because I just wanted it to see it. I don't remember do I actually have it? Let me take a look. It's Credit Karma, another one I haven't used. It might still be in the envelope somewhere, so I'll have to take a look for it. But this is really cool and a really big deal. Now, I think people are going to be, unless they have disposable income, I think the majority of people are not going to take advantage of this because the way I look at it, it's not just about being able to take crypto as payment, but it's also being able to then take your payment that you've gotten and pay your bills. Because when you're on payroll, that's probably your 9-to-5 job, right? That's probably a corporate institution, something like that, paying your bills via direct deposit. Your disposable income is probably coming via check or something like that if you have side jobs and whatnot. So my point in saying that is, unless you have disposable income, the majority of people, I don't think, are going to feel too comfortable on day one having their lights stay on, food get replenished in the house, water stay running, and heat stay on, money be in a volatile asset. I don't know if people will feel super confident with that, but I still think this is a really, really big step in the right direction. I know for myself, it's probably something that I'd consider doing. At least, let me see. Yeah. Oh, okay. So Rick says you can deposit a percentage. So that's actually, okay, looks like they thought that through. All right, so maybe I'm speaking a little too soon here and they actually thought about that. Because that would be my concern, just saying I want 100% of my check in Dogecoin sounds all good and dandy and fun, but when Dogecoin was 40 cents when you got paid, and then Elon Musk says something, and then Dogecoin goes to 20 cents, it's not so fun anymore when you were counting on that $1,200 to pay your $1,100 rent, and then that $1,200 is now $600, right? That's not going to be such a good time anymore. But obviously you don't have to take a volatile asset. I'm sure you could pick if you want Bitcoin. Okay, and let me just read through this article before I start making assumptions. So let me just read it for you guys. Do you want to receive your paycheck in crypto? Until now, that option has only been available to a relative handful of people, such as celebrity athletes or employees at cryptocurrency companies. Makes sense? But soon that's about to change. On Monday, Coinbase announced Get Paid in Crypto, a new service that will let nearly anyone in the U.S. who gets paid by direct deposit receive all or part of their wages in Bitcoin, Ethereum, or various other cryptocurrencies. That's a big deal because I'd feel much better about taking Bitcoin or Ethereum just because they tend to move less and appreciate, if anything. Coinbase is billing the service as the future of payroll. I do agree. And in a blog post explains exactly how this will work. You can set up direct deposit in a few steps without leaving the Coinbase app. Find your current payroll company or employer. It will automatically update your paycheck allocation. Okay. If you prefer to set up direct deposit manually, we'll provide instructions on what to share with your HR department or employer payroll website. That's pretty cool. Let's see. The blog post also noted that those who sign up for direct deposit can receive their wages into their Coinbase account in either dollars or crypto. Both options are free. There is no service fee, though Coinbase will earn a small profit in the form of a spread for those who choose to be paid directly in crypto. Okay. Okay. Right. So maybe the price that you technically get that crypto at is a little bit off. The new direct deposit option is a significant development for the crypto industry, since Coinbase has tens of millions of US customers. If even a small percentage of them sign up, it could increase the overall demand for the crypto assets. Yep. Wow. It'll go live in the next few weeks. It's part of a larger initiative to push into conventional banking by means of its Coinbase Card debit card service. So I think Coinbase right now is really leading the way. I'm not going to lie. Coinbase is really, even though they have some expensive fees sometimes, they're really leading the way in making crypto accessible for the everyday person. And they've gotten into this space in like every regard now. You've got the Coinbase platform for the everyday person, where it makes it easy to buy and sell crypto, gives you access to a lot of the alternative cryptos that you can't get on like Robinhood or Webull. And it's user-friendly, and they also pay you to learn about some of the cryptocurrencies, so there's incentive to be informed. Then you have Coinbase Pro, which is cheaper to use, not as pretty to look at, but it's better for the traders out there. Then you've got the Coinbase Card, which doesn't completely solve the cryptocurrency payment and store problem, but it helps get us there by making it easy to access your cryptocurrency and to make use of it without having to like convert it back to USD and then send it back to your bank account. You can make a payment with your money that you have in that crypto account just via the debit card. So that was a step in the right direction. And then they took one of the biggest steps, in my opinion, which was Coinbase Commerce, which made it so that even, me on my merch store, I could accept payments in crypto natively. So a lot of you guys paid for the shirts, like this one here, myhodlwear.com. A lot of you guys paid for your shirts in Dogecoin. And what I was able to do was either keep that as you guys sent it to me, or I could convert it to fiat. Of course, I didn't convert it to fiat, and I just let it sit as Dogecoin in my account. And then over time, that payment, that Dogecoin actually appreciated, because a lot of you guys made those payments when Doge was like in the teens. And then by the time I decided to do something with the money, Dogecoin was back up towards 30 cents. So it really worked out for everybody. You paid at cost at the time. You switched USD for current Doge, but then everybody kind of benefited. If you kept some for yourself, you saw it appreciate, and then what you spent, the merchants saw it appreciate. Everybody had a good time. And so that's the option you get with Coinbase Commerce, and I love Coinbase Commerce. It's really easy to use. And now this next step here with being able to get direct deposit with cryptocurrency, which is big. So Coinbase, in my opinion, is really just leading the way and making crypto accessible as a part of to get integrated into your everyday life. And that's why I really like Coinbase, despite the fact that they are a little expensive. I'm kind of willing to pay that to help support a company that's doing a good thing. So that's just my angle. But obviously I'm not going to be day trading and scalping all the time using Coinbase. That would be a little unreasonable. Probably wouldn't be too profitable there. But anyway, guys, that's kind of my quick take on the whole situation. Really big news. And thank you guys, of course, in the Discord group for also doing research, looking around and sharing it. Really helps us all stay informed. So that's awesome. And looking forward to see what happens next. You guys sent another. Will the Cardano Chainlink partnership be a real game changer for the alts? That's going to be a good one I'll look at next. Looks like I answered pretty much all the questions, guys. Had about an hour stream here, pretty good. Bitcoin's looking okay. We did see a little bit of a bounce off this support line here, and a move up to 43, but a little bit of a rejection wick there. Looks like we want to sell off a little. I'm not saying, by the way, just for the record, that we will not break up to the upside. All I'm saying, all factors are pointing towards the probability that we will break to the downside. That's what I'm a little bit concerned about. Either just a straight up break to the downside or a move up, and then somewhere over the next couple days, a move to the downside. So I'm just a little skeptical. I'm playing this one safe. I made some trades low on ADA when it was down towards about $2 flat, $2.05. I sold into the hype going into the weekend, as I told you guys I would. And I have a small position. I sold about 50% just in case I didn't sell it all. So I took some profit off the table. And now I'm waiting to see what happens next. I would encourage you to do the same if you're going to be in. Okay, we're still at cheap prices altogether. We know Bitcoin was just at 50. We know it's going to be at 60, 70. Same for Doge, same for Cardano, etc. Right? But also keeping in mind that the market could crash, and this is not a great week. Just play it safe. I would avoid all-inning. It's just not a good idea right now. And just try and sit back and watch and see what happens and play it smart. That way you don't blow up your account. But that's pretty much all I got for today, guys. Thank you all for the support, for sharing, for clicking that like button. We've had a good amount of people roll through, and I'm sure a lot of people will roll through to watch the playback later. Looking forward to chatting with you guys tomorrow in the next live stream. Stay safe, and we'll chat tomorrow. Have a great evening, everybody.